morning, welcome to another episode of Boston Build. Today we're at Kipchoge Stadium. We have a nice juicy 12 by 1k session at marathon pace. We're going to set off around 3:50 and then probably go down to around 3:40 towards the end, if legs permit. We are in Kipchoge Stadium, which funny enough is not actually called after Eliud Kipchoge. Speaking of which, he's actually here at track today, so we might get a little clip of him today as well. Maybe an interview, we'll see. Fingers crossed. Without further ado, we're going to get changed, we're going to put on the carbons and get a nice warm up on. Let's go. Very good session. I did miss out on the opportunity to take the photo with the code, but to be honest, the session was going so well and I was also mid-rep. It was the sacrifice I was willing to make because I had the best session I have ever had in Kenya, in Iten at altitude that day, and if that meant not taking photo with Kipchoge, so be it. It was the sacrifice I was willing to make. So as I said, the session for today was 12 by 1k. It is a classic marathon session, nothing too spicy, nothing too special, but to be honest, marathon sessions and a lot of running is very basic, it's very repetitive. It's not that complicated. A lot of sessions are the same and you just repeat them and you just stay consistent and you improve. But as I said, today's session was very good. The average was 3:35 per k, which was much faster than I hoped for. So at the start I was aiming for around 3:40, 3:50, which is my usual pace here at altitude for this workout. But at the first strap of the workout, I had like 3:35. I felt very good. I did not feel like I was like pushing my limits. So I decided, you know what, let's try it out. It's my last big track session before Boston. I still have like 3 weeks to recover even if I do go into the red. So let's risk it for the chocolate biscuit, and it paid off. 5 reps in, going pretty well. Averaging around 3:30, 3:38 per k, which is much faster than I hoped. So yeah, not complaining, feeling good. 7 more to go, let's go. For the entirety of the session, as I said, 3:35 was the average pace. There was also a 3:26 somehow. Well, I know exactly how it came about. At that wrap, at the last 200 meters of the lap, I could feel somebody run behind me. But if you run track, if you do any workouts on track, and you know that feeling when somebody behind you, depending on how they breathe and depending on the footsteps that you hear behind you, you can anticipate how fast their pace is. And I could feel and I knew from the breath and the steps behind me that the pace was faster, but it wasn't that much faster that I wouldn't be able to keep up. And if you know me, if you know anything about my challenges and everything, I am uber competitive. You know, it doesn't take that much to push me. Given that I was only 200 meters of that wrap, I was like, you know what, let's send it, let's push it out. I think for the last 200 meters, I was doing like 240s, 250s per k, which once again, the workout was going great. These are paces that I was not really expecting out of myself. So 3:26 for that wrap felt very good. Then 3:35 average for the entire workout. I could not be happier, to be honest. 8 reps down, 4 more to go. With this workout done, with the long run on Sunday being 38k at 4:19 average, and also for that workout it felt pretty strong, I feel extremely confident going into Boston. So yeah, these 2 big workouts smash. I still have another long run on Sunday, and after that we're going into taper. So yeah, overall feeling very confident, and I'm very happy with how I approached this block because the mileage has not been that massive, and I've been very conservative with my load considering I'm very much focused on building back the muscle and I'm putting a lot of load on my body with strength training. So balancing this out, allowing me to focus more on running and just being smart with my mileage, not throwing in a lot of stupid junk mileage. All my sessions have been with a purpose. Speed and marathon sessions were very concentrated, they were very intensive, but the easy days were easy, and a lot of cross training was done to alleviate the need of doing stupid mileage. So I think my approach paid off. I mean, I know it's still very early to talk about it. I still have to run the actual marathon, but at the moment I'm feeling very strong. So, and the sessions have been pretty good. So far, I don't want to be preemptively praising my approach, but I'm pretty confident going into Boston. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this voiceover and little tete-a-tete, and enjoy the rest of the video. Hello, session done. It went so much better than I expected. I think most of the reps were between like 3:32-ish, 3:38. I think there's one 3:26 in there somehow. Very good, but very strong. 1 minute rest in between each of their reps. I mean, I'm feeling strong and very confident for Boston. The sessions last week were very meh, felt very weak. But after the long one on Sunday, where I did like 38 at 4:19 average, this session today, the confidence is definitely there. Now we're gonna warm down and head to Java House, the pinnacle of Track Tuesdays. How was the session?
Great, loved it, yeah.
What was your session?
This is my 1k, average 3:15, so happy with that.
Juicy. What's the rest?
2 minutes, a bit generous, but I'm at altitude, you know, and it's sunny, so I think it's okay.
Let's go. Here's the men in pain.
Don't do 800s, guys. It's not worth it.
What was your session? Are you alive?
2 by 1200, 4 by 800, and finish with a hard 400 in 56.1.
Ooh, that's
So happy with that.
good stuff, man. Track session done. Now we're in Rupert Small, which is like the go-to place in Eldoret for food and shopping. So the plan is to hit the Java House, which is the go-to place after track session.
One thing that's a must after track session in Eldoret is Java House. Describe what Java House is. Just everything and more. It's everything you could want in Kenya. So good. It's very basic cafe, but because like you can only get that in Eldoret, it becomes a luxury. So we treat ourselves after a hard session. Also, these boys met Eliud today. We did indeed. Incredible experience, incredible. How did you feel? Are you happy?
He smiled in the photo with me as well. He was happy to see me. It's the best day of my life.
We have a mango shake. That is indeed a shake. And it is mango and caffeine. It's not watered down. It's a win. And we have a Java House. Dawa man.
Jawa Dawa.
So we have 2 portions of chicken breast, home fries, and avocado. We went for 2 portions because I'm a Hyrox pro apparently. I'm a Hyrox athlete. No, I'm actually just a fat boy.
Majority of my shopping inside that mall was to do with drinks because I am a thirsty mofo. But there's one thing I found that was an absolute blast from the past. It's bar shandy. Have you ever had these?
Yeah.
Man, I have not had one of these since I was in secondary school. I was pretty much convinced they were out of stock. They were gone. But hey, Kenya, that's the place where you get them apparently. Ooh. It tastes like childhood. Warm day, good track session. It's a nice reward. Now we're gonna go back, hit gym, and recover. Let's go.
So this is a stretch I do pretty much every single day because my hip flexors get super tight, especially if I do a lot of speed work or a lot of volume. And if your hip flexors are super tight, if you go down to do squats or anything like that, you're kind of asking for trouble. Now I'm able to put it up on a table and lean forward and really open up my hips. So between this exercise and windshield swipers, which I'll do in a second, these are my kind of most 2 exercises before I start any leg work in the gym. And before you come at me for being barefoot in the gym, it's a requirement here. So. Is that a hip range of motion?
Hip flexors front. Like, you should be able to go over that blue thing.
I can't. Like, but for me, my hip flexors are like the worst. Like, they get super tight. Like, my squat used to be just so bad because of that. Yeah. And ever since I started like working on hip flexors, doing those kind of exercises, I'm not like asked to grasp, but like I'm very comfortable without putting any strain on my hips, and can kind of load it better. And for me, it's just very important because like I have herniated disc, so if it's super tight, my disc just go.
They attach to your vertebrae, your hip flexors. He said because they're so tight, it kind of like pulls my back in like that.
Yeah.
Oops.
And then, have you ever tried couch stretch? This it's called a couch stretch because you usually have a couch. Yeah, but like I find like this helps. This if you do this before like any hip flexor work, it loosens it up a bit.
Yeah, I do something similar. I do this one.
Yeah.
I guess it's almost the same.
Yeah.
That one's a bit more quad.
Yeah. Because I find like, usually I do my leg days on days when I do track. So I need to stretch a lot because after track I'm always super tight. And if I'm tight and I go with anything heavy on my back, it's asking for trouble. Oh, Jesus Christ. So for my leg day, I always start off with squat. Usually front squat as my first exercise because I do have herniated disc, and if I do start off with back squat, it puts a bit too much pressure right away. So I like to warm up with front squats, get my core activated, and also I always use plates for the back of my feet, especially at least here. I don't have my weightlifting shoes with me, which give me a bit of a platform. So these plates at the back allow me to have a nice range of motion without leaning over or falling over. Oh, nice. For my compound movements, I like to work in an 8 to 10 rep range. It allows me to load the muscle heavy enough without going into too much overload, the way you would with like a 3 to 5 range. And I'd never ever go for 1 rep maxes, not anymore. If you're doing powerlifting, it makes sense. You know, you're training for 1 rep maxes. If you train for performance, strength, you get just as much stimulus by training higher reps as you would lower reps. You build the same amount of muscle, same amount of size, same amount of strength, but you minimize the risk of injury, because if you go for 8 to 10 rep range, you usually have a 1 or 2 in the tank. Whereas if you're trying to rep out 1 rep max, your form will collapse, you'll be pulling, pushing in an uncomfortable position, and the likelihood of injury is just way too big, and also the recovery time is much greater. And if you're trying to kind of hybrid train, do any kind of aerobic exercise, running as it is for me, and weight training, it just makes more sense to smartly load your body. Because if, for example, by training in this kind of rep range, I can still feel okay tomorrow, I can still run and then do a track session on Thursday, let's say. I'll do a long run a few days after, whereas if I was doing like 1 rep maxes all the time, recovery time for that would be like 3 to 4 days at minimum, which means for 3 or 4 days, any other training in that time would be just completely sacrificed. Whereas with this, I can still train, optimize my running, optimize my strength, and just look massive, bruv. I'm not gonna lie, this is somewhat sad, given that I used to focus solely on powerlifting, and my 1 rep max was like 185 kg, and now 80, 100 kg is my working set. It is sad, but also like I had a recurrence of the herniated disc 4 months ago, and I'm only back squatting since the start of the camp, so like, 5 weeks? So I'm happy enough. A win is a win. So usually when I'm structuring my lower body days, I have mostly compound movements. So I start off with my quads, which is usually a squat, front or back squat. I do prefer leg machine though, because it puts less pressure on the back, and given that I do have a herniated disc, I like to eliminate any risk of re-injuring it. So hence I prefer leg press machines, but because there isn't one here, I have to use the squat rack, which I don't really mind because so far it's been going pretty well and my back is feeling pretty strong. Then after that I do another compound movement, which usually will be for my hamstrings. I do prefer a dumbbell RDLs, but they don't have any heavy dumbbells here. I think the heaviest they have is like 15 kg, which is okay, but not heavy enough. Hence the barbell. Still activates the same muscles, still gets the same job done, so I can't really complain. And then again, working in the same rep range. One thing that I really love about my Garmin is that when you do weights, it counts the reps for you. And for me, if it's anything above 3 reps, I'll lose the count. It goes like 1, 3, 5, 8, 11, 2, all the numbers. I am a big fan of the movement, as in the hip thrust. It's very good for running. But I do prefer machines over the bar because sometimes I find the bar can become the limiting factor on how much you can load yourself, because once the bar starts to get into your midsection, it's just not comfortable and you'll stop prematurely. Whereas with the machines, you can push a bit more. Also, it's much easier to load because I find loading the bar a bit of a pain in the butt. And also, as you can see, I have to kind of improvise and makeshift the bench and the padding. So a lot of MacGyvering involved here, but anything to get the session done. Just yeah, much better. Like another thing with this exercise, in order for me to load more weight, I need to get out from under the bar, get back under it. So it's a bit of a pain in the arse. So we're just gonna add extra set and reps rather than weight for this exercise because I'm just arsed. And training load is gonna be the same. I do have to admit my lower body is my weak point at the moment because over the past good year at least, I'd say. Fortunately, when I was doing the 50 marathons, I was not training my legs because my legs were dead during that period. After that, I gave my legs the recovery time that I needed because if I started like loading them with weights right away, it would have been asking for trouble. Then I started training again, coming up into autumn time, but then once I started training my legs again, my herniated disc injury re-emerged, so I had to kind of pull back and like limit the amount of load I was putting on my back. And because I spent so much time here and there isn't many machines I can use that will allow me to overload progressively, properly at least, and also like I didn't really want to risk getting the injury worse. So I just chose to focus on running, especially when I was here before Christmas. I was doing a lot of double threshold work. So I chose to prioritize running over weightlifting. And also because I was aiming to lose weight, I didn't really mind only doing one session per week. So like I was able to maintain size that I had and some strength, but I wasn't really focusing on building muscle or strength, hence the lack of strength right now. But as I've mentioned in my previous video, the priorities have changed and I'm just looking to get back to being bigger at least. I'm not sure how big I'm gonna get, but I'm willing to find out. Once again, the bar is becoming the limiting factor because even this padding that I have here is in feckle. The legs are definitely feeling a bit weaker because of the track session earlier today, but it makes the most sense from the point of view of training plan strategy to have these leg days on track days because I'm still progressively overloading it, not as much as I would have on like fresh day, but if I was to do these leg days on my recovery days, that would mean I would be sore going into track days and sore on my rest days, so there would be very little recovery happening for the legs. Whereas now tomorrow is going to be my recovery day, or like easy day at least, which means my legs will be able to properly recover, and then when I hit them again on Thursday, I'll be able to hit them properly on track and in the gym, and then I have Friday, Saturday to recover, and then Sunday is my long one. So that allows enough space for my body to recover and progress. Boom, boom, boom. Now, usually I prefer a line hamstring curl, but in this scenario over here, beggars can be choosers, so we go for this machine. It still gets the same job done. But I find with the line hamstring curl, I get a better connection. I'm not sure, it's more subjective feeling, because I think between standing here and the line, there isn't that much difference. With the sitting hamstring curl, there is slightly different activation, better activation when you're leaning forward, but not that much difference between the standing and the line. So for the rest of the workout, we have hamstring curls, then we have calf raises, and then we're gonna finish off with some Bulgarian split squats. Also, with this machine here, it doesn't stand still, so I just need to hope I'm in properly before I start the movement. Now personally, I do prefer the sitting calf raise because it put less stress on my back. Very much personal choice. And if you do have a weak lower back or if you have an injured lower back like I do, a sitting calf raise is much better because it doesn't put any stress on it. But once again, beggars can be choosers. And then if you do not have a calf raise machine like this, an option is always to use a barbell. You just put it on the back and same movement pretty much. And then it's once again 3 sets of 10, 12 reps. Just really hold it at the top, and yeah, it's as simple as that. Like, I think people like to overcomplicate things very much. Running, lifting, it's about doing same boring stuff well consistently, and you will see results. It is as basic as that. You do not need to be a rocket scientist. It is basic movements done in good form consistently over time. Same with running, good sessions consistently over time. And caveat, not all sessions are going to be great for running and for lifting. Some sessions are going to be terrible. It's just the rule of threes, but it's just more about consistency and commitment. It's as basic as that. Now, I usually do prefer to do Bulgarian split squats more towards the start of my workout, because I just like this movement. I like to load it with heavier weights, and I do find it very beneficial, especially for running. Usually if I'm not loading it very, very heavily, I would use a barbell on my back. As I said, there is a lack of heavy dumbbells here, so because of that, I'm leaving this exercise towards the end when my legs are already fatigued and when I cannot lift as heavy. So I'm just gonna use lighter weight towards the end and still get some results. Let's get this done. One nice benefit of having longer hair, you have more options for mic placements. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. The legs have been drained and trained. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Boston Build. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.